Well, welcome back, everybody. It's a new month. May lasted about a year, and we're now June 1st, and I am really excited because here on the Curlin Community Connection, we're going to do a whole lot about local politics. Um, Basically, I have been able to corral most of the city council members and all of the mayoral candidates to come on in the month of June. We're going to do Mayoral Monday. We've reserved this whole month. The dates were given as a first come, first served basis. I want to say that this is not a debate, but a free flowing conversation. I ask that our guests do not attack others who are not here and only try to promote themselves. I'll try to be as fair as possible and cover and ask basically the same issues, but the conversation may lead us elsewhere. Again, this is for our community, and they're needing us needing an informed citizens voting kind of compact. So in other words, David Ortega, no crying.
No.
Okay, so our first guest, he chose the first slot, is Dave Ortega. He's an architect. He served on the city council from 2000 to 2004. Welcome to the show, Dave. And why don't you do us a favor? Tell us a little bit about yourself that I haven't covered already. What do you want us to know?
Sure, Eric, terrific. Thank you for having us. Exciting times. I'm honored to seek the office of mayor. I know the city, and I came here in 1979. I was a 23-year-old kid with an architecture degree. I had grown up in a small town called Globe, which is 8,000 people coming to 80,000. Scottsdale had 80,000 people at that time. And I worked for Benny Gonzalez, one of the most outstanding and well-known architects in the Valley. He designed City Hall and so many other buildings in that complex. So it's an exciting time. I learned a lot, and I started to connect into the community. That's how it's been ever since. Last 41 years have been pretty exciting. The next year, I met Rosemary Gannon. She grew up here in Scottsdale. We fell in love. We got married here at St. Maria Goretti, and she said, look, let's live in the neighborhood where I grew up. So we did. We bought a house here next to Saguaro. And all the time I was continuing with my work and learning, doing lots of things. And then we have two children. So we had a girl and a boy, and that's the best blessing of all time. And when Allie was, about 3 or 4 years old, I opened my own office in Old Town Scottsdale. So that's how I settled in here. We happen to be an old Arizona family that came here in the 50s, the 1750s. Settled, a lot different.
Old.
Yeah, so we settled in a territory that was part of Spain, and in the area of Tubac, and then moved to Tucson. Our family were ranchers and got along with the natives, and built a life here. I was the only one to come to Scottsdale of my family, and it's just great to be part of the Gannon family. She has 4 brothers. I have 4 sisters. So obviously, that's
wow. A few more, and you got a football team for the league.
Not? Why not? Yeah, and that was the glue that brought me. I would say then the neighborhood life, meeting the Dotsons, pushing the stroller up the street, meeting another family with a little girl. I mean, that's sweet. And later on, knowing each other and going to Pueblo school together, going camping with the Flynns, and all these other things that really, for me, I grew up in a small town, so it was very familiar to have those feelings and the neighborhood feelings, and as well as, we had Broad Street, so Scottsdale, had Fifth Avenue and Main Street where I was. And
you sound like you have an interesting history here in Scottsdale, but you do have a mark against you. Let's just get it out of the way. I went to ASU.
Yeah.
You went to U of A. Let's try to get past this, okay? Remember, as I started this conversation, we're not going to have any crying. even if Sparky is kicking butt lately, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And you should always measure yourself by your rival. So that's a good way. I'm glad you measured yourself.
And you, sir, are a
Actually,
good politician because I come after those Wildcats every time I get a chance.
well, my dad went to U of A. He graduated Tucson High, and they lived in a bungalow, a historic place, 3 blocks from the main gate on Park Avenue. I went to the U of A. Our daughter went to the U of A. Rosemary's from ASU, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes. But our son Luke broke the mold. He didn't go to the U of A and ASU. He went to Yale, so it worked out. It worked out for him, and very successful. And when you can't go to those other two, you may as well go to Yale, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, full disclosure here, let me just say, for people who are just tuning in, I am running for the House of Representatives here in Arizona in District 23, which encompasses most of Scottsdale, all of Fountain Hills. And I do want to say that all the guests that come on this show, it is not about endorsing or supporting my candidacy, whether you do or not. This is about enlightening the public and kind of giving them a place to go to get some information and kind of drop the knowledge on them. Okay, so what do you say we get into some questions?
Yeah, let's do it. Sure.
All right, great. And if anybody out there has some questions, if we have time, we'll get to them. Just put them in the Facebook feed, and Andy, my campaign manager, will drop them into the Zoom, and we'll try to, by the magic of teleconnections here, try to get them answered. So, look, softball. We have a crowded field, 5 people. What makes you the best?
Well, I'm very grounded in the city. I know the schools well that you're associated with, and government. But mainly, it's about relationships. As an architect, you build relationships with clients in the neighborhood. You build relationships, and what's happened is, and as an architect, of course, I have a client, contractor, a relationship. So everybody has to work together. You can't get a building done. You can talk to the bankers, they'll take all the credit, or somebody else. Well, you need the worker, you need the tradesman, you need everybody to make a project go. So I bring that. The problem is that City Hall is fractured. It has failed in terms of communicating, and that's the skill that I bring, being able to listen, understand, and design solutions.
Yeah, so let's kind of go along with that, because we do have some divergent views currently in our political environment. How do you see managing such a diverse constituency? How do you bring them together?
Well, actually, it's statutorily required. So the state legislature required that we do what's called a general plan. And it's mandatory that the city, it's not an exercise, it's not a chore. It means communicate and have a conversation and leading to an actual roadmap or blueprint. The city failed to do that 10 years ago, and they failed again in 2013, and I was off. I have been a city councilman. In 2000, we got that done. It's not gonna make everybody happy, but it has to be a conglomeration of thoughts that is the blueprint for the city. So if you don't exercise communication, you won't be a good communicator, and you won't have a good relationship. So that's the way that I plan to bring the 2035 general plan to completion. It must be done. And unfortunately, it's 10 years late. So we need to get that done, and that's why I'm out there not only for my listening skills but organizing skills to make it happen.
Yeah, and communication, it's kind of like, I say often that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we should be using those proportionately. Communicating isn't so much talking, it's more listening and absorbing. And so good on you. Hey, what are actually the political or the legal ramifications about the general plan? Does that have to be approved every 10 years? Does it have to go to a vote? What's the story with that?
Yes, it's normally a 2-year process, which we did in 2000, 2001. That's where you have community meetings and listening groups and commissions that are working on that. The state mandates that in the Growing Smarter legislation. After it's assembled and crafted by the city council, we then adopt it. So we have to have the wisdom to know what will work in the community, but it's not ratified it must be ratified by the voters. We got that done in 2002. That's the last valid general plan blueprint. They have strayed from that. We can talk about those issues, but the same process started in 2010, but it failed in 2012. And then they tried to resurrect it, but then they just shelved it again. So that we are out of compliance. Now, all of the other cities in the valley got their general plan done, except Scottsdale. And I believe that's a leadership problem. And now what's happened is then the city and the mayor said, well, we've got a city attorney. Can you write us some memo that allows us to move forward even though we're not in compliance? And so that's what you have. That's what happened. There have been several other city attorneys, and people have looked away from it. And let's just say at the county.
Okay.
There are no fines, but the real fine is that the people get disassociated with their government. And the best government should be local government. That's where your neighborhoods are and your schools are. So that's really the penalty Scottsdale's paying right now.
Well, it's interesting you bring up local government. I feel very strongly that the people we elect closest to home are probably the ones that have the largest effect on our lives. And I firmly believe that local control is more than just something we say. It's something we should actually follow through with. Back in 2016, the legislature preemptively said that cities cannot do anything about vacation rentals. The governor had come out with this whole thing with the gig economy, and this is the way forward, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, we have government for a reason, to protect people, and our government here in Scottsdale was hamstrung. What is your opinion, and what do you think needs to happen with the whole Airbnb thing, the vacation rentals?
Okay, the short-term rentals affect us all. The upside is that many distressed properties, people put a ton of money in, and we were so happy. I mean, one on the corner was a horrible mess, and water was leaking into the sidewalk, et cetera. So that investment came in, but what's happened is, Scottsdale has become a hotbed for investors, and they will buy blocks of 20 and 30 properties, and then even take control of a HOA in that manner, so that they can write their own rules. The areas that the city does have control have not been exercised yet. What it takes is for cities we do have natural alliances with other cities that have the same problem. So legislators are elected by the same cities. So those alliances should be able to lobby successfully. There again, I think Scottsdale has not been a leader in that discussion. So the only way you can change legislation is to do it at the state level, but using the allies that we should have, instead of just saying, it's too bad. And all these other problems. There's a few things that I could mention further about how local control can happen if we have time.
Yes, we do have time, for heaven's sakes, because here's the deal, Dave, for heaven's sakes, one of you guys or gals is going to be the mayor of this city. And if I have the honor to serve, I think we have to go back to say, how do we work in like this vertical articulation so that your representative is representing your people? And part of that is working hand in hand with your local government. So tell me, Dave, if I'm elected, how do we work together? What do you need from me?
Well, this is the biggest fulcrum that the cities have. Okay, when I was on council, we had control. See, the state mandates allows reasonable control of other uses, okay? And reasonable control usually means distancing, okay? We, at the time, had a major discussion about massage parlors and tattoo massage houses. And well, they're both parlors, tattoo parlors and massage parlors.
I wouldn't know, Dave. Never seen one, never been to either one of those.
Okay, so anyway, the discussion ended up being that we could actually say, as a city, they have to be 1,000 feet apart. It's just the same way as saying a bar has to be 1,200 feet away from the nearest school, or 500 feet, a marijuana dispensary for medical marijuana has to be a minimum of 500 feet from its school. So we have that tool already, and the mayor and the council haven't even explored that, because that is a protected, probably Supreme Court protected tool that the cities have. We're not banning them, but we don't want 8 of them on one block. And that's one of the controls that I would employ in that discussion.
Okay, I'm talking here with Dave Ortega. He's one of 5 mayoral candidates running to lead Scottsdale. This June, we're having one every Monday, Mayoral Mondays. He's been kind enough to come on first. This is not about bashing others. This is about getting to know the candidates, a little community service. So if you have questions, just chime in there and on the feed. We'll try to get it to them. Dave, where's the website where people can get more information? We'll drop that into the feed.
Sure. It's electdaveortegamayor.com.
Okay. Elect Dave Ortega Mayor.com. We'll put that in there.
Yeah, it's
and yeah, very good. Hey, let's get back to Scottsdale. Tell me, I believe we live in one of the best places in the country. We really, I mean, we can say we need to improve, but let's take a look at some of the great things we have going on here. What do you think is the most amazing part of Scottsdale? What causes you to stay? What causes other people to come? What do you see?
I would say the schools. I would say the friendships, the bonding that is amazing. And, you know, it gets to the point where we're checking on each other's grandchildren and we get, you know, and we share the business life too, because you know, referral and that part, it's just a very vibrant thing. I happen to live in a non-HOA area, and that's not for everybody, okay? Half the city north, well, actually north where I live near Saguaro. Half the city north of Indian Bend is mainly in HOAs, and they have a choice, and that's their choice. But you know, I'm in where I am, and I can fly my American flag out front anytime I want to, you know, and I can do certain things on the freedom side that I enjoy. So Scottsdale has a variety. We have amazing family-oriented places like parks and so forth, and the shopping side, and we have major attractions. I like the off-season opportunities. We have some of the best restaurants, best hotels, and all that. And I'm very happy to not go to crowd certain events when everyone is enjoying them. But in the summer, I can enjoy a fabulous meal of any sort in these wonderful places. So that's the amenity side that I just love.
Don't bring up food, Dave, because I go right down that road, I know where you live over there by Saguaro, and I love that Coney dog place.
Exactly,
Oh,
exactly.
man.
And Joe
All
at
right.
the UPS store, and all good things.
I was gonna save this for later, but tell us, what is a dining nugget that maybe people don't know about that you would say, man, you have to try this? I've got one right here in my head, and I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
And I'm putting you on the spot. I'm forcing you to do this. So whatever restaurants aren't named, please don't get angry.
No. I really love Los Olivos. I love their tortilla soup. I'll have that any day. For me, a big bowl of tortilla soup at lunchtime is like fantastic.
And that's old time people down there, the corrals.
Oh, it's, you know, it's comparable to the Globe Mexican food restaurants, which are famous as well. So anyway, that is just a treat. It's consistent, it's family, and you know, that's Scottsdale.
Okay, so for my viewers out there, my fellow deadhead, Kate Gibson, my friend, I would say go to Uncle Sal's and get the chicken marsala. You cannot go wrong with the marsala. And if you like the soup that they mentioned, get the soup. Always homemade, always delicious. Or the salad. But if you like the way the soup sounds, go with the soup.
Absolutely. Excellent.
All right. Now that we got past that, you you had mentioned schools. All right. I think one of the things that Scottsdale enjoys so much with high property values is because of the excellent public schools we have. I'm a retired teacher, almost 25 years. I've been in teacher leadership for a long time. Scottsdale doesn't manage or set any funding for the schools, but in the past we've enjoyed some really mutual beneficial partnerships. Talk to me about some ideas you might have to further that kind of important relationship, especially with a new superintendent coming on board.
Well, at the time I was on council, I was on the joint committee of City Council and Scottsdale Unified School District board members. We met every other month, and we associate our kids, our families, after school activities, properties, and so forth. That was fell aside, and I think that will be renewed. That will be renewed as mayor. Uh, there's something deeper I could mention about this because,
Go deep if you have to.
well, 20 years ago or some time ago, uh, developers, speculators were asking for subsidies of taxpayer dollars, okay? City tax collection money. And one of the games played was, gee, city buy property that's commercial property, like Los Arcos, and then overpay for it or whatever, and then lease it to a nonprofit. Well, when the city bought, let's say, Los Arcos for $42 million, I had an appraisal that said it was only worth 12.6, by the way. We paid $42 million. But what happened is the property forever would never pay school property taxes. Think about that. So what happened is, and I raised my hand. I was the one that led the referendum against that subsidy. It was to build a Walmart. So what happened is when the city took, the developer was happy. He got 30 million profit to compete with us in Glendale. Scottsdale subsidized $30 million for a competition in Glendale. The guy went BK anyway. So okay, I'm not gonna.
Wait, was that a little bit about the hockey arena then too?
A part of it was, but mainly it was non-performance. I want to talk specifically about what hurt schools.
Yeah.
So for the last 16 years, and for the next 100 years, the city will not get a dime of property tax. Now, property tax in Scottsdale is 7% of our budget, just under 10. But for the school district, it used to be close to 80%. It's about 70%. And that means K through 14 forever would not get a dime out of anything built at Skyson. Now that, to me, is the worst robbery of education, because actually the school district has lost over $35 million in property tax. Now think about that. That was C3 property, 43 prime acres. And all I said was, if the developer can't make it and he goes bankrupt, that's life. This is America. You have a right to buy it, try to make money, and if you don't, walk away, and the bank takes it, sells it to the next guy, But that's not what happened. And I fought that at that time, and it directly impacts the education and shorts our schools so badly. And I explained this, well, we discussed it with other superintendents. That is an important issue that we really have to police. Now, if you fast forward, what's happening is the charter was amended that would not allow gifting to a developer, cash gifts. So that loophole got closed down. Now at the state level, we can talk about that another day, but there's all sorts of cash loopholes that are given to, other.
That's my job. That's my job.
You know more about that than I do. But finishing on this, so what happened now, speculators today, last year with Southbridge and so forth, they want subsidy. They can't get cash subsidies. They want them in the form of upzoning and high density. So their property could have been, allows 3 stories. And they say, well, they don't say give me 6 or 9. They say give me 12. Well, that's a big bonanza. That's a huge payoff. And it frankly doesn't even work, because the bank looks at it and says, are you crazy? You want to build 12 stories in downtown Scottsdale, where, et cetera. And we shot down that subsidy. It was actually a bailout for a developer, speculative. And it's the kind of business expertise and reasoning that I bring, as a mayor candidate. And it's so vital because K through 14, it's what keeps us in Scottsdale.
Yeah. Dave, let me just kind of touch a little bit on the economy there, because you mentioned the whole taxes and those going to schools. Uh, for the viewers at home, it really isn't the local tax dollars that, I mean, that would diversify a little bit so the homeowner wouldn't have to pay as much in the secondary tax rate, but it really is the state that grossly underfunds schools. Let's get to the economy, though, itself, because like many destination cities, Scottsdale relies very heavily on tourism dollars. Um, and just like our state, when we go into recession, we go in pretty steep and deep because we don't have a diversified portfolio. Uh, you put the recession in there, the financial markets, something like COVID. We know we need to grow to attract business, but how do we balance that need with what we love about our community? How would you as mayor kind of balance those needs? How are we going to diversify this economy and still keep that? I mean, it's a really tough needle to thread.
Okay. When Scottsdale was first founded, it was 1 square mile, and people found out, hey, this is a good way to get out of Phoenix. And at that time, tourism may have been 60% of their economy. Okay. There's this general stores and whatever. Over time, it evolved. And as I make no apologies about Scottsdale being successful as a tourist destination and a magnet for that strong sector. The fact is that there's no line item in the budget that says this is tourism. This is people fabricate that number and then they try to criticize or use that as a tactic to say we need more of this or that. But the fact is that tourism, and however it's measured, the ratio of tourism has decreased as medical industry has grown. Mayo Clinic, I was here when they came to town, as the air park has grown, as financial services have grown. So there's a difference between being strong and attractive and being a part of the story of why those businesses come here, which is based in tourism, the attraction of a unique place and a unique climate and really friendly people. So that all helps build upon each other. One of the situation is now the rhetoric says, well, you got to replace tourism. Oh no, guess what? It crushed automotive, it crushed agriculture, it crushes real estate. It's, all of these factors affect us in the whole country. So if they can't sell in Glendale, New York, and Glendale in California, they're not going to come to Scottsdale, okay? You have to have volatility of money. So my feeling is we're doing just fine, and we're not over-dependent because those other sectors continue to grow. The biggest employer is the healthcare community here. There's over 9,000 employees. And that's an amazing expertise. And guess what people do when they come here for medical care at Mayo? Now they're shopping, they're enjoying, there's other factors that all blend in together. I believe our model right now is the best model that you could have. I say that seriously because right now, even with the COVID and the economy that we're starting to talk about now, there is going to be a flight from the high density urban centers. And what do they want to come to? Another high density urban center with tall buildings everywhere? No. So we're gonna find out. Now I know sociologists are gonna figure it all out and what really is occurring with our current economy, but that general thing is a false, the general claim that we have too much tourism. Oh, we're so good at tourism. Wouldn't trade Barrett Jackson for anything. You know what I mean? Come on, we're successful. We're good at it. And
January is a good month. Well,
but besides that, you have to remember that we're surrounded by 4.5 million people.
Yeah.
That's, and who would rather shop in Scottsdale or stay here than other places. It's no put down to anybody, but we have a big base of, it's going to be 5 million people. There's 7 million, I think, in the whole state.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. People, you don't expect 100% of everything. You're just going to get your market share. Okay? Enough people from London and Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Paris are going to want to go to Scottsdale as any other destination. That's great.
Okay. I am going to condense this a little bit here because we're running out of time. Okay. But I wanted to get to one other question from Kate. And then there'll be some questions on the feed that I would enjoy if you could come back and answer for folks. Okay.
Well, I have a few questions for you too.
All right. Just
We'll
hold
get
your
started.
horses. Hold your horses. I got a question for you first from Kate.
Okay.
First, we're going to remind people where they can get more information about you. It is electdaveortegamayor.com. Go there, find out about it. He'll come back onto the feed and answer some of these questions we didn't get to. Please, in 30 seconds or so, if you can. Kate's talking about that some folks say we have a traffic problem and that there are not enough options. What would you say to mitigate those concerns?
I would say that a light rail does not fit in Scottsdale. I would say that there are going to be new autonomous vehicles. They're going to be neighborhood circuits from something that doesn't even have a driver that we're going to see in the next 4 to 8 years. They're going to blow our mind. So our traffic can be more efficient, but we cannot overload downtown with another 20,000 people and just multiply the problem. So
All right.
that works.
Good. Very good. Brevity. Excellent. I know you have questions for me, and I know the viewers are holding on for that moment. I usually ask my guest questions. You've been a friend of the show, apparently. You came out with some questions of your own. I'll give you that opportunity, but I do want to tell people that we have an exciting lineup coming up this week. Every day at 5 o'clock, we got an exciting guest. Tuesday, we start our city council rotation. We have Tammy Caputi. Wednesday, get this, we have another Curland on the show. Her name's Heather Curland. She's a lawyer from Colorado. My cousin actually came down with COVID, and we're going to talk to her about her recovery and what signs to look for. But she's also a pretty good dude, so we're going to talk to her about her pro bono work with citizens and the different civil rights. And then on Thursday, we got Kevin Maxwell, who's another city council candidate. So we've got a really big week. Tune in every day at 5. Now, Dave Ortega, what are your questions for me?
Well, I went through my file because we've had some time lately, and I found some letters addressed to me and by individuals in Arizona. So I'm going to give you the first one. And after I read it, part of it, then I'm going to give you one clue, see if you can figure it out from there. I've known Dave Ortega as well as his parents since he was a boy growing up in Globe. Like myself, he came to the big city to find a career and raise a family. I encourage all of my friends in Scottsdale to vote for Dave Ortega. Okay, she was a Globe High graduate, a very famous person. She had very tall hair.
Oh, like that one from The Simpsons, the wife from The Simpsons, Rose Moffat.
Rose Moffat, good move there. Okay, this one.
I think it was a little blue too. I think the hair was a little blue too.
It was. I think it started blue and it went slightly white and then it went back.
God rest her soul.
Yeah. Dear David, I want to thank you for your friendly note. Ann and I also enjoyed talking with you at the CPLC dinner. In addition, I want to congratulate you for making the papers. Maybe you could give me some pointers on how to receive such favorable press. Now, this person became a gourmet baker after leaving.
Oh, once you said that, I got that guy. He Fife Symington.
Yeah, you did it.
Did a little time in the poke. He was actually exonerated. No, he was pardoned by Bill Clinton.
Exactly. Amazing. Okay, so here's another one. These are some chronological. There's a couple clues in the letter. So, dear Dave, thank you for sharing your beautiful pieces of artwork with me. What a lovely reflection of your time in Italy. I'm glad you had a wonderful time in Italy as I did. Your graciousness, etc., very truly yours. A clue is she was a Homeland Security, I think, at some point. Napolitano, Janet Napolitano. I'm sure you got that one. Oh, we got cut off again, folks. But I am happy to fill in for Eric. And Eric is going to come back shortly. This is one for the crowd.
I'm going Janet Napolitano.
There you did it. You did it, yes.
She went off to be the Homeland Security. She went and she was the dean of, or the president of all the California universities.
We had our first conversation on a short bus heading to a national presidential convention. And sitting across with Janet Napolitano. By the way, I smelled tear gas for the first time. So the convention was in LA.
I got a question for you. I didn't get to ask you any goofy questions, and
Good.
I think voters really want to know.
Yes.
And this is important. Do you think nuts belong in chocolate chip cookies?
Nuts.
Careful.
Nuts do not belong in pecan pie. They do not belong in pecan pie. Okay.
What is this with the politically correct answers? Look, nuts don't belong in chocolate chip cookies. They belong all by themselves, just like people with their nuts.
See, you got the answer. Thank you. I enjoyed it very much. You're terrific. I appreciate it. Be well and take care.
Thank you for running. Thank you for running.